speaking of things that you need to put in a museum, Indiana Jones 5 has been kind of because Disney bought Lucasfilm. Everyone's like, okay, we're gonna get some Star Wars. Obviously, at some point we're gonna get an Indiana Jones, and I think there was early talks when they first bought. Obviously got bought by Disney, but I think after an interview, after Star Wars is over, I think Kathleen Kennedy was saying, like an interviewer generally said, okay, what's your plans for Indiana Jones? Is it going to be a full reboot, or is Harrison Ford coming back? And basically she's like, oh, we have ideas, but Harrison is going to be back, so he's going to be back as Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So Kennedy, as you know, big fans of Kathleen here.
Yes, our favorite person.
Yeah, she clarified saying, Harrison Ford will be involved. It's not a reboot, it's a continuation.
First, I at least got to applaud her in saying that it's a continuation, because a lot of things, like, for example, like the 2016 Ghostbusters, or a lot of these different type of things, they don't acknowledge the old, and they're just like, yep, let's just scrap it clean and just remake the old movie just with someone else new and pretend that the other one didn't exist. Like, I feel like that's way worse. But at the same time, having
isn't that what she did to the new Star Wars movies? Like, she basically said, like, none of the other episodes matter, like Luke sacrificing, like Vader sacrificing himself, Luke, defeating Vader, Palpatine, none of that matters because all those people are still alive and they're just doing the same thing. I've got no confidence in this Indiana Jones movie. I don't know. I think it's going to be bad.
Well, here's the thing. Indiana Jones is my favorite film franchise, and I feel like, Last Crusade is my favorite film of all time.
What about Crystal Skull?
Crystal Skull is, like, I think it leaned too much on the campy side of things, so it was very cartoony, very kid like, where it feels very, like, I feel it's out of the world in a sense, not only just because of the aliens, but a lot of the things that happen in that, it feels very cartoony, whilst a little like all the other Indiana Jones were kind of still set in a, like, actual reality of things, where it's like, yes, you have
grounded.
Yeah, it's grounded, where it's like, you do have Nazis, or it's grounded in a sense, like, you're not swinging rope to the vine with monkeys, but it's like, you can still kind of understand, like, this could happen, and it's not too over supernatural, whatever it is. But still, it's my favorite film franchise, and I just don't want it to, like, before I had confidence, but now I don't, and I just don't want it to be touched. The only way I see this being, you could do this right, is do what I think they did in the 80s, which is have, like, a young Indiana Jones TV show, where he's just a younger person, someone else is playing him, and it's just these other adventures that, you never heard about, type of thing. I think that's the best way to go. However, they're doing it this way, which I know is going to be a disaster, because the modern trend on film and TV shows is the heroes that you had and loved in the 80s, 90s, whatever it may be, we want to deconstruct them. We want to make them, they're already gone through their adventure. They already had the ups and downs, but let's make them worse from where they were at their original beginning of their original journey on whatever movie or TV show they had. And I think that you can see that trend obviously a lot, and you can see it with Luke Skywalker and things like that. So I feel like what's going to happen with this is, obviously, he's going to be in the film. How much is he going to be in the film? Who knows? He could be just relegated to Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens, where he's, like, literally there for 2 minutes and does nothing. I doubt it, but still, he'll be there. My whole thing of what they'll probably, the only way I think this would work is he's the grandkid, he's the grandfather of Shia LaBeouf's kids, which, by the way, Shia LaBeouf will probably not be in this because, aside from, like, something like Transformers, he is very much an art house actor, and that's all he really does these days, so I doubt he'll come back to a big franchise type of thing, but,
also, dude's crazy.
Yeah, that as well. He's one of those artists, like, he's one of those types.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like he's, like, gonna be a little bit of box office poison, like, wherever he goes. Like, other than, like, the Transformers films, which I don't think anybody really went to for him, right? Mm-hmm. They went to go see Optimus. You might as well just said, like, starring Optimus Prime and Starscream, and that would probably get more people going to the movie than putting his name.
Then they're getting him going, like, no. And that's the thing. I think, like, he's changed and evolved, and he's like, you know what? I don't want to play that box office game anymore. So he's not going to be in it, but they'll have a whole thing where it's like he had some kids. My dream is to at least have it.
Do you think he'll be alive or dead?
Nah, I think he's just going to be busy. Maybe
busy. Yeah, we're working overseas.
Since
or
like in the
like
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he was like a rebel. He didn't like school. It'd be like a parody where he becomes like a professor out of school. So he became the thing that he hated, but he likes it in the end. Like I feel like that would be kind of funny. But anyways,
that's how they do it.
That's aside for the point. He'll be off the screen. He'll be busy.
Will they show his? Will they show his body, or will they just have like or will they do like a Shazam and just have the head? Like they won't show his head. And they'll just be like, "Oh, this is your dad," Like, do you think they'll have any kind of? You see, I think the thing is the typical kind of thing that we typically see, like in the West, at least in the past, and I know it's very common in, a lot of Asian culture, like in a lot of like Japanese anime. There's a lot of like kids who are raised by their grandparents. So I can definitely, and part of the reason why it seems to be like that is, well, they aren't like restricted by their parents the same way as they would be if they actually had your typical two-parent household. They have their grandparent or their grandparents who are more like kinder and softer and allows them to be a little bit more wild, and that kind of would subsequently lead to a perfect kind of like storm to have like a new Indiana Jones or a new Jones person come out.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. He'll be shepherding. He probably had some kids. My whole thing is the best way to do this is have two kids, maybe like a boy and a girl or something like that, and then they basically play off each other exactly like what happens in what is it, the Last Crusade, where it's like Indiana Jones and his dad. I feel like the reason why that's my favorite is because of you had Sean Connery and you had Harrison Ford acting off each other, and it's kind of like two different generations. So this one you'd have two like maybe twins even, or like it's two siblings and they have sibling rivalries or something like that, and one's good at technology and one's good at archaeology or something like that. Like you can do it quite a bit with the concept, and that'd be kind of cool to have these adventures. And obviously they're like, oh, our granddad's the coolest, yada yada yada. However, what the general trend is, and what they'll probably do is, instead of making it a guy and girl or whatever it is, and kind of having this good even thing and not ruining your heroes, it would just be Indiana Jones, he just keeps on chasing the treasure, and he's neglected his his kids and grandkids, and so like basically his daughter, his granddaughter hates him and becomes basically beats him at becoming an archaeologist, and then she takes the mantle of the Indiana Jones name and being the savior of I guess the Indiana Jones family. That's that's the worst case scenario. But it's also which is also the most realistic scenario will happen.
Well, you're more or less describing Rey from the Star Wars franchise, right? That's essentially it.
Well, exactly. Like Lucasfilm has shown that clearly they don't really have any creative ideas aside from like two people in Lucasfilm, which we already know who that is, and it's all part of the Mandalorian. But aside from that. That's exactly what they'll do. They'll rehash the ideas and just be like, yeah, let's do that, but with Indiana Jones now.
Yeah, look, I don't know who they have directing for it. I think that's going to be pretty important as well.
Like Steven Spielberg back.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I think like having somebody with like a vision is pretty important in terms of whether or not you're able to execute a film properly. And we've kind of seen that all these films that have been coming out that are like typically bad seems to be coming from people who don't have a good creative vision, or they aren't too sure where they want to go with it exactly.